Hi everyone, my name's ATP and this is a video showing a solo Grandmaster the Corrupted in Season 17, Season of the Haunted. The last solo GM video I did was Scarlet Keep and I decided to do a commentary over that video, and the feedback I got from it seemed to be a lot more enjoyable than some of the other ones where I either have the audio where I'm talking to my stream or just no audio at all. And I think the reason for that is that I'm able to explain what I'm doing after the fact rather than having a conversation with someone that you don't really get both sides of the conversation. This was my third attempt. First attempt failed in the elevator. First attempt actually failed here from that Axion dart right there, 1 minute in. Second attempt failed during the first phase of the elevator. So a lot of this is me kind of remembering the GM, as this was only my third run of the day and first one past the elevator. I didn't show my loadout at the beginning, which was my mistake. I thought I did, but going back through the recording, I realized I didn't. So for video reference, I'm using the Striga Scout SMG, not Scout, the Staccato Scout Rifle with Shoot to Loot Explosive, and I'll explain why on that later on in the video, but the gist is that you get double ammo. And then my heavy is Storm Chaser. I'm using the Quiver Tether, that's the 2-shot one that splits into 3 arrows, with Persistence, Obscurity, and Remnants as my fragments. And then armor, I'm using the Exotic Helmet Graviton Forfeit with 100 strength and 100 resilience, and then I spec into as high mobility as possible. I have 70 in this clip. So at the beginning of the Nightfall, there are 2 champions, 2 overloads, 1 chieftain, 1 hobgoblin, and you can actually get a 3rd hobgoblin to spawn. You can skip 1 champion in this strike, so I choose to skip that very first overload hobgoblin. So that's why I killed the chieftain, and then I went to the right side and killed the boss. Now the elevator is arguably the hardest part other than the boss fight here, and there's really no approach to it other than to osteo everything down and then crutch invis. So that's mainly what I do here, is I try to get some osteo burns going and kill all the scions, which I failed to do. There's still a decent number of them up. And then all it is it's just trying to break their shields. So this first set, the phalanxes take 2 shield throws, 2 uncharged throws, while the centurion takes 3. So what I'm doing here is I'm going invis, getting my smoke, and then using the smoke and the dodge invis to grab an orb, and then using that, I wait until the enemies are in a preferable location, meaning they're not all shooting at me. I'm able to get them. There, I was a bit close to the phalanx, so the phalanx decided to boot me, but it's no matter, as this one's not the Taken Realm. If it's the Taken Realm, I'm dead there, because I'll be getting physicsed into that rotating cylinder. One thing to note about this is if you're using Graviton Forfeit, if you're holding a relic or a glaive or a sword, you don't get that increased melee charge rate while invis. So that's why a lot of times you'll see that I think that I should have a smoke, but I don't, and that's because I'm missing out on that dodge. So here, if it did work, I would have grabbed the orb beforehand, but I'm not able to. Striga is the strongest primary weapon in the game right now, at least in my opinion, and so it shreds through these enemies. Normally, I would recommend using like a heavy or whatever to deal damage to them, but because of Striga, you don't actually have to do that. Oh, I sorry if you hear any background noise. I'm eating and drinking my dinner while I'm recording this, so. So here, again, I'm just trying to get into a preferable position to kill the phalanx, because that way I don't have to watch my behind the entire time. Now it's only the Centurion left, which I remember during this run, it actually confused me because I never remembered killing the first phalanx, and even watching this back, I don't know where he died, but it must have been an osteo burn. And then once this Centurion dies, it's the exact same thing, but with stronger enemies. So now it's a knight and two two mini boss phalanxes instead of two major phalanxes. So I decided to use the tether, thinking that that's going to kill all the phalanxes, which there I think it does. And then there's two behind me, which really confused me. I was actually freaking out during this, so I kind of panicked. And I went to get the ball for, I don't know why. And I did the finisher there because you're now able to finish using a relic, and because I'm using obscurity, I go invis with that. That's a nightmare. I almost died there. As you can see, this is really a very sloppy elevator clear, as everything is not going my way. So my thought process during this is I've got to just kill the scions. I'm not going to find the time to break phalanx shields if scions are alive. So my priority right now is 100% trying to kill the scions, which I believe they're all dead now. I don't see any, which is why I'm now able to grab these orbs. I'm kind of getting sandwiched in between multiple enemies, which is less than ideal. The way that the elevator should go is all three enemies are rotating either clockwise or counterclockwise, and you're rotating with them, grabbing a ball each time. And I see there's actually a scion that's still alive, so he must have snuck around somewhere. Now normally I would commit to a kill on that scion there, but I heard the knight coming behind me, which is why I didn't. So again, I'm waiting for my smoke before I grab the orb, because if I grab the orb, I'm going to lose that increased strength regen and probably die as a result. So here I see that there's nothing really close to my right, so I throw the shield at the knight to my left. I probably really want to get the scion down, so I kill it. Thankfully it doesn't split, and I'm pretty confident right now that there's no more scions. So now it's just focusing on trying to get one phalanx down at a time. So I know from about 3 seconds ago that a phalanx and a knight were on top of each other, so I feel pretty confident I'm able to get this ball throw off. And I see that one phalanx is now to my left and both of the other enemies are to my right. So I'm going to go for the phalanx on my left. Again, I'm waiting for my strength there, my smoke bomb, which is why I'm not grabbing the orb. And here, I'm constantly looking behind me to make sure that I'm not going to get flanked by another enemy. I'm able to get the phalanx shield down. I want to proc the osteo poison. I get it off, and I'm pretty sure that if that doesn't kill it, it's probably going to get it decently low. Maybe half health, maybe even finishable. So here, waiting, and I see the knight shield actually broke too, which wasn't even my intention, but that's perfect. Which means that I only need to break this phalanx's shield. I can tell by its health, I'm going to need one more ball after that. I check and I see that osteo does half health to a phalanx. And what that tells me is that if I'm able to get an osteo burn on this phalanx, he's going to die or be completely one-shot. So I try to get the osteo burn, but his shield's blocking it, so it's very difficult. But there, I finally get it off. I'm probably going to go invis here and try to loop around the knight. I actually decided to try to commit to it, which was really risky, especially with that phalanx still alive. But the phalanx burns out. Knight's behind me. I should grab this ball and then try to break this phalanx's shield. The reason why is the knight is actually not threatening anymore because they gave him a stasis cannon. The phalanxes deal arc damage to you, and this is an arc burn Nightfall. You can guess where that goes, and that's actually where my one death in the elevator solo was. It was to a phalanx. Here, I'm just trying to rotate in a circle to make it very easy to kill this guy without being swamped by the knight, which I thought the knight was still going counterclockwise, but the knight switched directions at some point. But thankfully I noticed it. Knight's phalanx is dead. I can finally kill the knight with ease. And that is the hardest part of the GM done. Well, the hardest part other than the boss fight. Everything up until the boss fight isn't that difficult. So as soon as I beat that, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I can do this. I can get to the boss fight. And so I mentioned earlier the staccato. The staccato has shoot to loot explosive, and the reason why it has shoot to loot explosive is because if you're using the shoot to loot perk with explosive payload, the game actually gives you double ammo. And linear fusion scav is currently bugged, and so that double ammo comes in handy so much here. Use my tether to kill the knight because I know I'm not going to need it. Just to kill the ogre, because I know I'm not going to need it for a while. And I go and open up the Shrieker, and I miss most of my shots. But that's okay. If you're standing behind the line underneath that doorway, the Shrieker won't shoot at you, which makes it very easy to kill her. And then I decide to use Storm Chaser to break their arc shields, most likely because I was confident that I was going to get ammo for the boss fight, or the ogre encounter, more likely, which I happened to. And you'll see it here, I shoot it, and I get 9 shots. And then I actually go in to show that I'm not using scavs. Right, and then I break. Oh, and I see another brick here. You can actually see I zoom in on it, and I make sure that I'm nowhere near it when I fire this shot. So the only arc shields in this encounter are in the first half of the Nightfall. And then there's a lot of void shields and a lot of solar shields. But the reason why I chose the staccato, other than it being shoot to loot explosive, is that it's going to help with the ascendant realm of the boss fight, which is the hardest part other than the elevator. You can make an argument that it's harder than the elevator. Solo, it's kind of hard to tell. I think the elevator's harder and more annoying, but that's just personal preference. And there, the Osteo kills the first unstop, and now I'm using Revitalizing Blast. That's a mod that I forgot to mention, to kill the second unstop. I don't want to waste linear shots, especially from this far away when I'm not confident that I'm going to be hitting the shots. So I'm just slowly peppering it down until it's in a more favorable location for me to use my linear fusion rifle. And as you can see, I fire 2 shots, which is the equivalent of 6 bolts, and I hit 2 of them, and neither of those 2 were headshots. And then I managed to test my luck again. I kill it, and then I'm not too sure what I'm doing here. I don't know why I was trying to kill that knight, because normally what you do is you invis and you run to the end, because what that does is that despawns the 3 Shriekers and all of the knights. So that's actually what I'm doing here. And I dodge right before my invis goes down to keep the smoke cooldown on a dodge. Alright. And now for the ogre room. This is the longest part And the way that you approach this, at least for a platinum run, is you want to kill the Hive Unstop, then the Hive Ogre, then the Taken Unstop, and then the Taken Ogre. As you can see, I tried to do as much damage to the Hive Unstop as possible, but he was hiding. And then when I'm in the Taken realm, I don't want to get the Taken Ogre below half because it spawns in more enemies. So all I'm trying to do here is deal as much damage to the Unstops using Revitalizing Blast as possible. And once I get teleported back, I'm just looking for the Hive Unstop, which if you don't spawn kill him, sometimes it's very, very annoying to try to get a kill on him. So I stun him, but I'm not in a favorable location, so I can't really use Storm Chaser on him. I stun him again, I try to get the storm shots off, and I miss. How embarrassing. And so now, at this point, I'm basically like, okay, I'd rather not constantly be teleporting between realms. Let me just get in position to try to kill the Unstop immediately. So I wait here, and of course the Unstop moves. So now I'm basically stuck again. And this is mainly how the Ogre encounter goes. I decide, maybe let's do a bit of damage. But the way you want to approach this is definitely Hive Unstop, Hive Ogre, Taken Unstops. There's 2 Taken, Taken Ogre. And this is definitely the most frustrating part solo because you have... You don't really have ways to generate ammo other than Finder Bricks and RNG. Because you can't run Aeons and then get your own Aeon Brick, and Lucent Finisher isn't around this season. So it's pretty frustrating. This is by far the longest part of the GM. I would say both team and solo. And there, I get lucky. The Unstop's in a favorable location, and I just commit to the kill using Storm Chaser. And so now I have 8 Storm Chaser shots. I would think that I save it, and I just try to tether and Osteo burn the Hive Ogre down, but we'll see what I actually do. In hindsight, I would think that I just try to Osteo and tether it. Okay, so I do try to Osteo it, but I'm out of range. So I then would hope that I tether, which I do, and then I would probably, after the tether, maybe do some storm. Which I thought about, and then I didn't. I'm not sure why I didn't. I should have. I should have put in 2 or 3 shots. And as you can see, I've gotten the Taken Unstops down to almost 2/3 just from Revitalizing Blast. And knowing me, at this point I probably start to get frustrated and just burn it down with Storm Chaser. There's no way I just primer it down, right? See, knowing me and how frustrated I can get when things take a lot longer than they should, I had a feeling that that's probably what I did. Again, once we're back in the Taken realm, it's just shoot things with the Scout Rifle until we're back in the Hive realm. There's really not much else to this encounter. I don't get the kill there, which means that I have to wait another 30 seconds or so to go and hit him with like 2 Scout Rifle shots, which is frustrating. I have no idea what that grenade was. But once the hive guy's dead, it's basically just waiting for the unstops to charge at you. Which, the typical way that it works is if you're hanging out on this right side, they will walk up those stairs and then drop down in front of you, just like this one is doing now. It took a bit longer than they normally do. Maybe it's a team thing versus a solo thing, but then they'll charge at you. And so having an Aeon guy on your team is great because these ones are so easy to finish. They come straight to you. And most likely, do I kill it? Okay, I wasn't sure if I would finish it. There's no reason for me to finish it, but sometimes I do it anyway. And then I'm looking middle there to see if the other unstop's there, because I'm like, where is this guy? And normally if he's not middle and he's not there, he's just stuck on the top right, and the way to get him down is by moving a little bit to the right.
Thank you.
Also, please ignore the Taylor Swift audio. Those are my Twitch alerts. So, and I have them playing through my desktop, which is why you can hear them in the recordings that I post. I'm just waiting for this unstop. I don't know where the unstop is. I'm surprised I don't go to the right side here to force him to jump down. I really don't know what I'm doing. I make this encounter take a lot longer than it needs to. And there he is. Because I can guarantee you I would have had him dead and the ogre dead by this point if all I did was go to the right side. You don't even need to jump up, you just walk to the right. Right. And of course, once both unstops are dead, it's just melting the boss, which is why I tethered, and then I start using Osteo Burn. I'm out of heavy, which is just really unlucky, but there's nothing I can do about it because, well, it just is how it is. And he's dead. So when he's dead, the reason why, and I probably should have said this at the beginning, but the reason why you kill the hive ogre first is because you can just invis past the shriekers. If you kill the taken ogre first, you get an absolute swarm of hive, and it is a nightmare to deal with. It's like, I think it's 6 melee Arknights and a bunch of thrall, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Please kill the hive ogre first. Now the staircase very, very easy. All this is just, again, it's a slow roll. There's 4 unstops and 2 overloads here. What am I doing? Did I go AFK? And so here I see that there is a heavy brick to the right, which is why I use heavy here. Normally I wouldn't use heavy on these guys because they're not worth it. And you can see I actually just swap and start using Osteo anyway. And then I shoot a heavy when he's finished. Well, I don't really know what was going through my brain while running this, I'll be honest. Was I drunk? I'm recording this audio only like 4 hours after this run. I have no idea what I was doing. Like why I'm doing certain things that I'm doing. It's probably because it was my first thing on Destiny in like 4 or 5 days that I just like wasn't really used to how to play.
Thanks, girl.
Alright, Stasis Acolyte to the left. Easily my biggest priority right now. And I try to push him off. And it doesn't work. I feel like he should have fallen off there. But so I give up. I come back. And most likely I just osteo him down. So this is where an adaptive munitions pointed inquiry would come into play. Or any other scout. But I think shoot to loot explosive is, at least right now, it is way too good to pass up. So we got some unstops. Again, like I'm shooting Storm Chaser at just the most inopportune times. I must have been distracted by something, but I don't know what I would have been distracted by. Because, like, that's a good Storm Chaser shot, right? Like, as soon as it gets stunned. I mean, like, realistically speaking, it's not a long run, but, like, what am I doing? So, after those 2 unstops, it's the second and third overload, basically the first 2, because the first one dies 20 seconds into the strike. So, again, osteo, kill the first one. And now the second one decides to start walking up the stairs. So the most likely what I do
Thanks,
here
girl.
is I go invis to kill the Stasis Acolyte because he's annoying. I probably try to push him off, and I think this one is successful. There we go. And then I see the overload's missing, so I look towards the staircase. There he is. Which, normally he shouldn't be walking up, but what he'll do is he'll walk up, and then he'll jump around to the platform I'm on, and then drop back down, and he'll just keep the same loop going. And he's dead. So we wait for our slowed to go away, because if you try to jump with slowed, you're dead. Now we're going to invis past Yitrix. Yadix? Yadix. I think his name's Yadix. Yadix is that vandal who has more health than the boss and is not worth killing. And now we're going to get to basically the home stretch to the boss fight. There's 3 more champions to deal with, all overloads. So what we do for this is you want to drop kind of close left behind this rock, and you will never die. 3 champions appeared. Those are the 3 overloads. This first overload was actually added very recently. He was added in the 30th anniversary patch. So if you haven't done this Nightfall since then, you're probably a bit confused why this guy's here. Good news, he always kills himself as long as you don't stun him. To do it, basically just throw a grenade and work on those acolytes. And then if you start walking forward, he should start walking forward and off the map. Just like that. And, you know, it's not 100% consistent, but I ran this GM doing double helps after the solo 7 times, and I think he fell off in all but one of them. And the one that he didn't fall off, he was stunned right before he was gonna fall off. And then he just decided to backtrace. Now here, I don't have a Void Scout, so I'm basically just deciding to run past everything and just deal with the overload hobgoblins from the bottom section. Normally, because I don't have a Void Scout, all I would do is push the acolytes off, but I decided not to do that here. And there's 2 snipers, one accompanying each overload, that you definitely want to watch out for. The sniper is more deadly than the overload. With that, I see there's a heavy brick there, which I didn't want to pick up, and then there's actually another one that dropped from the overload, so it was okay. And so I'm thinking, okay, there's a heavy brick on the ground, I can use my heavy here. And now this is where I'm pretty sure I get scammed. Because he's taking damage. I stun him again. He regenerates a lot of his health. I just hit him with more overload. And then that one was my fault because I wasn't reloaded. I should have just fired another Storm Chaser, so I just wasted 2 Storm Chaser shots. Now at this point I probably just commit to just Striga-ing him, because the last time it didn't work, and I'm too frustrated to try it again. Oh no, I do pull out a Storm Chaser for 1 shot. And I use Shoot to Loot. Which doesn't matter if I only need 3 shots, but hey. Let's get used to it. Now here I do go AFK, so I'm actually gonna skip ahead until I'm back. The 2 minutes where I was AFK there, because no one wants to watch that. I mean, no one wants to watch me shooting a scout rifle for 10 minutes up ahead, but hey. So this boss fight has what I call the bitch platform. That's the platform I'm currently on. And then there's the main platform, which is where you're supposed to do the strike from, but we're not going to do that because we're losers. So encounter starts, we go back to the bitch platform, and we pull out the scout. And that's right, you guessed it, we shoot a scout rifle for 10 minutes. Normally, I don't speed up parts of a solo GM. The only things that I'll speed up are waiting for supers. I'm not going to speed up this first one, but later on in the video, there's a set of enemies that it legitimately takes me about 10 or 15 minutes to do. And all it is me just shooting a scout rifle, because Striga's reach is very, very low. And I'm not going to waste Storm Chaser on Scions. And so it's me shooting a scout rifle and then throwing a grenade every minute. But I'm showing this one just so you can get the general idea. But the other one, I'm not showing it. I'm gonna have it play at a higher speed. So like you'll still see everything, so if you really want you can slow it down. Don't recommend doing it. But yeah. So this first one's got a shit ton of scions and one solar shielded taken knight. Once everything's dead, we're able to continue. The knight's honestly the least threatening thing. The most threatening thing is Cydia's arc eviscerating hex, and then the scion arc pepper shooter attack. So once everything's dead, we go and grab the ball to our left. Although apparently I'm observing the scenery here. I was probably taking it. You know, I was probably taking a drink. Grab the ball, and it takes 5 throws to break her shield. There's 0, because we missed. Which I think is an aerial effectiveness change. There's 1. There's 2, I miss. There's another one that I missed. I hit that one, so now we're 2 out of 5. I think I said 2 earlier. That one was 2. 3 out of 5. I'm pretty sure I missed this one. 4, and so I need 1 more throw, so I'm going to go invis and go back to the spawn, because you don't want to be on the sides when it's damage time. So she shoots, break her shield, and now I just lay into her. I know that I'm not going to solo her, or solo one-phase her. So all that I'm really worried about is just getting her to teleport to the left and go immune so that I get all of the ad waves. So you get 1 ad wave, and then it spawns a 2nd and 3rd ad wave from the left and the right. And in hindsight, I should have saved that tether for when everything had spawned in. Because I kill most of the stuff from the first wave, but then the 2nd and 3rd wave are so much that it just takes me forever. So here it is. This is me shooting a scout rifle for forever. The play-by-play is going to speed up here. That's basically it for this entire part. There's really nothing special. Yeah, okay. So now I'm going forward at 43.55. So you can see it took a decent amount of time. And the only thing that's left are the knights. And I decide to play like a psychopath here. Finishing knights probably shouldn't be finishing. And there's the last knight dying now. And I get booped. I hit it with the pro finisher. Almost died to the eviscerating hex. But we're good. We can grab the ball. And now it's another 5 throws. Until we can do more damage. Oh no, I'm out of revives. And once she reaches 50% health, she will enter the Ascendant Realm. And so I wait here to enter the Ascendant Realm. Now this is a mess. So the way this layout is set up is it's so unfriendly for people because you've got an overload sniper, 2 knights, 2 Vandals, and Sadia all shooting at you, and you really have no cover at all. So what I try to do here is I kill the 2 Sniper Vandals, which is good, but then I've got the 2 Knights and Sadia and the Overload to deal with. And I check here to see what my resist mods are, and I notice that I don't have a Solar Arc resist on or a Sniper resist on, which as far as I'm concerned, that means that this Hobgoblin is going to one-shot me. So I decide to do something that is very risky, but I think it's probably safer than trying to kill it from here. And what I do is I go and force Sadia forward by taking her plate and going about halfway up. So Sadia is now gone, which means that it's just 2 Knights and the Hobgoblin, because I know that Knight's not going to shoot at me, the one on the platform Sadia was on. The concern was Sadia shooting at me. Now I'm able to come back here, stun the Overload, and then I'm thinking, I need this stuff dead, so I'm going to break the Knight shield and just tether him. I need that Knight gone, or else this is going to be brutal to try to do. And I waste the second tether shot, but it's fine. And then I go and hide because I noticed that the Hobgoblin was doing the Retaliation Swarm, which does a ton of damage to you. It is unbelievable. It's Arc Burn, so it doesn't do as much because Retaliation Swarm is void, but still. There, I shoot the wall before I shoot the Hobgoblin to proc Overload. That way, the Hobgoblin does not do the Retaliation Swarm. Now, I commit for a kill, it's dead, and I know that that should basically be the second hardest part of the GM done. That Hobgoblin. And now, gotta make sure that I don't die to rocks, then I can kill this Knight. So this Knight does actually shoot at you. I wasn't sure, but his damage threat is so minimal compared to the other stuff. And there Sadia shoots at me, which is really scary because her eviscerating hex can sometimes just randomly one-shot you. So that's scary. I come up to this top left and I'm thinking, okay, there's 2 Vandals, a Knight, and an Unstoppable here. It's an Unstop, which means I can abuse Revitalizing Blast if the Unstop comes forward. I get 212 points, which is for a Vandal. So I know that one of the 2 Vandals is dead. Break it again. Throw a grenade up there. I'm going to just keep abusing Revitalizing Blast. There's another 212, and the Knight's dead. When the Knight dies, Sadia moves, so I know that I got 2 212s and the Knight dead. It's only the Unstop. But I'm pretty sure during this, I didn't see the first 212. So I'm unsure if there's a Vandal, which is actually what I'm looking for here. But it's dead. I saw the points appear afterwards. It's dead. So now we can kill the Unstop, and this is the last champion in the strike. Boom, he's dead. And so now it's time for what I like to call the donut. The donut of doom. This is, if you have to experience this, this is a brutal part of the Nightfall. The cover is, they use cover, but it doesn't do anything because Sadia moves around like a psychopath. And there's a lot of enemies, mainly Scions, that duplicate so much. Good news is, you can use this back platform if the ball is in the first location where it currently is, and you can kill the Scions from back here. The negative, though, is that it's so frustrating to try to kill duplicating scions from here without, like, a Tiku's Divination or a Wither Horde. It's extremely frustrating.
Thanks, girl.
But so I tried for a bit. And so I get frustrated trying to kill them, so I actually come forward here, and I think it's those are the only two scions. Thankfully, a scion melee does not one-shot you. I had a heart attack there, so I know there's 4 scions now. Should be 3 scions, but again, they duplicate. Okay, so I know at minimum there's 4 now, because I just saw that one duplicate. So I'm like, okay, there's 4, and I see like 2 or 3 coming this way. I had an osteo burn, but at this point, they've changed the scoring. I don't know how many are dying. I think 3 died there, so I think there should be 1 left, but I don't see one. So right now, I'm skeptical to grab the orb because I'm like, there's still 1 scion somewhere. And I'm looking for it, I can't find it, so then I'm like, okay, it must have died. So now we can grab the orb and start working on breaking her shield. If you do not know, her boop is on about a 10-second timer, and she will only do it, or she should only do it, if she has line of sight on you. And yeah, this happens. So, I'm going to explain my thought process there. I throw the smoke. I should have done a dive. I don't know why I threw it. And you know, it wasn't that I hit the wrong button. I know for a fact that, like, at that time my brain said smoke. And when I panic smoke, I don't do a dive. I do a melee.
Thank you.
So that was my thought process there, was I need to do a panic smoke because I'm in the air. But a panic smoke doesn't do anything if you can't actually make yourself invisible. I get booped, and I try to save it with my jump, which I might have been able to mantle it, but I'm not risking it. So what I do is I look behind me and tether, and the reason why is because tether pushes you backwards. It doesn't do it as much anymore, but it pushes you backwards. So the reason why I look behind me is to use the momentum from tether to push me back onto the platform. And it works. I'm alive. If I died there, that would have been funny. But yeah. Now, I know the boss needs one shield throw. And what I'm doing is I'm waiting for my smoke, because as soon as I break the shield, I'm getting 2 solar captains, which are scary, but a scout rifle plus storm chaser kills one. Sadia is really close to me there, which is why I don't commit to a kill using storm chaser. Come back and I know that it's finishable. I know for a fact it's finishable. They split up though, which is really frustrating, because it makes it a lot more difficult. And now at this point, all I'm doing is I'm trying to keep an eye on Sadia and the second captain. And thankfully I'm able to kill the first captain, and here I go for a finisher because I'm thinking Sadia is still a bit further away. She was a lot closer than I thought. That's okay. And once it's dead, we can go do damage. And now, before you say, oh, you know you can fire Storm Chaser quicker, I do know that. I don't do it here because I want to make sure my shots are accurate. When she goes immune, you get another 8 Scions. So here, I'm probably going to try to burn to get an Osteo poison off, which I do, but it stops, which means that I, at most, probably only killed 2 or 3. Not ideal. And I see there's a lot more Scions here on the left. I'm going to wait here to get my smoke. Leave, turn around, and try to get poison to proc. And I get poison to proc, but it doesn't chain to anything, so I know only 1 Scion died there. I hear a Scion behind me, and you could actually see it for like a split second in the peripherals. But it's okay. Sound poison, and I see that I'm taking to another one, which means another one died, but I see that there was 1 more there that didn't die. So I know at most right now, sorry, at minimum, there's 3. There's those 2 plus the 1 that didn't die. So there should be 4 Scions now, and at this point, I'm counting in my head. I'm like 4 as a minimum. And there's another one, so that's 2. I'm thinking maybe it died. If it did die, that's 5, which means that that should be all of them. If it died, I see it there, so I know it didn't. Ooh. And that's a risky one. And there the Scion duplicates, but the duplicated clone instantly dies, so it duplicates again. But I kill both, so I'm pretty sure that's it. So now comes the last set of balls. And this is a wild one. Sadia disappears twice on me. So first one I miss, because I'm great. And look at this asteroid. Oh, you don't really get a good angle on that one. But there's an asteroid that flies above this room that Sadia sometimes will hit. And I'm pretty sure she hits it twice on the eye. There's one that I get a very good angle on. So here, I've hit her once. I know that's 1 out of 5. I see her to my right. Like, okay. I can grab this. And the way that I'm doing this is I know that I don't get my smoke back while holding the orb.
Girl.
So I'm using my dodge before I grab it when I already have my smoke. Because my dodge cooldown is not affected by holding the orb, only my smoke is. So I'm still at 1. Am I at 1 or am I at 2? That one missed. Again, the ball tracking is so bad right now. It's actually unbelievable. I think that hit, so I think that's 3 out of 5. But I'm going to do a smoke. I'm going to jump up to the platform. I'm going to do a dodge. I don't do a dodge. Interesting. That's risky. And she gets taken away. I'm like, okay. Cool. And you can actually kind of... You could actually see her for a second there off to the left. And she always teleports so close to you, which is so scary. I hit her again. I smoke. I'm going to jump up there, hopefully. Do a dodge. Send my cooldown. Because I want to grab the ball and get off. Now here is a really good one. She gets launched again! She goes flying. And you can actually see her, like, up in the ceiling there. And she teleports right next to me. Perfect timing. I'm probably going to want to get my smoke before I do anything here. Which I decide not to get.
Thanks, girl.
At this point, it's another 2 captains, but you can just kill the boss. So, we smoke. And now at this point, I like to melee bosses for final blows, so I'm mentioning it to my chum Lincoln. Well, should I go for the melee? What are we thinking? And they're all like, do it, coward. I'm like, I think I'm going to. And, oh, so close to dying there. I'm pretty sure if that hits you head on, you die. And like at this point, I don't know why I don't kill the captains. I think it's because like I know that I don't need to. Because like it's just running in a circle, making sure the captains aren't directly on top of me and hitting a storm chaser every once in a while. So like here at this point, it should only be one more. It should only be one more storm chaser if I hit all 3 shots. Do I hit all 3 shots? Well, you know me. I probably missed 2 of the 3. She teleports. And that's so risky. Because I totally could have died there. At this point, I think I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll tether her. There. Ooh, if she stomps there, I'm dead. But like, I just had to just tether her. That's a GG. Tomorrow, by the way, and by tomorrow, it might be today by the time this is uploaded, at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, I'll be streaming on Twitch. We're going to be starting off with the Insight Terminus solo GM, and then we'll be doing some Proving Ground, Corrupted, and Insight GM helps. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a fantastic night.